My name is James Pierce, detective by trade, seeker of truth by force of habit. This time, the truth didn't call me, it lured me. It started as a vacation. I hadn't taken one in years, so when an old acquaintance invited me to a secluded research site deep within the Amazon, something about ancient ruins and unexplainable phenomena, I thought, hell, why not? A break from dead-eyed suspects and blood-stained rooms sounded like salvation. The helicopter dropped me in the middle of nowhere, a clearing surrounded by an ocean of green. The canopy swallowed the sun, and the air hung thick with a heat that felt like it was watching. I met Dr. Caleb Moran, an archaeologist and longtime friend from my university days. He hadn't aged well. His eyes carried the weight of sleepless nights and stories he wasn't ready to tell. "We're not alone out here, James," he said the moment we shook hands. Not exactly a warm welcome. The camp was small, a handful of tents, a satellite rig, and a dozen crates of equipment that looked like it hadn't been touched in days. The other team members avoided eye contact. One woman was missing, Dr. Elena Ruiz, a linguist, disappeared 2 nights before I arrived. No signs of struggle, no footprints, no blood, just vanished. They'd found her journal, pages torn and soaked with humidity, with one line scrawled over and over again. "The green watches when the night breathes." That night I stayed awake, not from paranoia, from instinct. I know when something's wrong, even before my brain has the evidence. Around 2 a.m., the jungle changed. It wasn't noise that woke me. It was the lack of it. No insects, no birds. Just a deep, low rustling, like trees shifting in protest. I stepped out of the tent, revolver in hand, flashlight beam cutting through the thick dark. My breath was slow, steady. I was used to shadows, but not ones that pulsed. Beyond the trees I saw something. Not a person, not an animal. A shape, human-sized, but wrong. Elongated. Covered in vines or moss. I couldn't tell. It didn't move naturally. It absorbed movement. I raised my weapon. "You lost?" It didn't respond. It just tilted its head. Not like it was confused, like it was listening. And then it retreated, melting into the jungle like mist. I followed. Because I'm not smart. I'm obsessed. After maybe 20 minutes of tracking broken branches and faded footprints, I reached an old stone altar. Overgrown. Covered in symbols that weren't Mayan, or Aztec, or anything I'd ever seen. And at the base of the altar, half buried in dirt and roots, was Elena Ruiz's necklace. No blood, no body. Just that. I didn't bring it back. Something told me not to disturb it. When I returned to camp, Dr. Moran was awake, pacing. "You saw it, didn't you?" he asked without turning. I nodded. He looked up at the treetops. "They call it El Hueco Verde, the hollow green." "What is it?" He didn't answer right away. Then softly, "A god that listens, a jungle that remembers, and a ritual we never should have unearthed." I didn't sleep after that, and I knew this vacation had just become a case. I spent the morning combing through Dr. Ruiz's tent. Her laptop was gone. Odd, considering no one saw anyone leave camp. Her field notes, however, were intact. Sloppy handwriting, long annotations, strange sketches. Most of it was linguistic gibberish to me, but one page caught my eye, a diagram. It showed the altar I had seen, and below it, a series of lines leading underground. Tunnels, maybe, or catacombs, and a phrase at the bottom, hastily circled. Spoken in silence, opened by the breathless, cryptic, pretentious. But I'd seen worse. I brought the sketch to Moran. He went pale. Said the locals spoke of burial vaults hidden beneath the jungle, sealed centuries ago. But the words, opened by the breathless, that chilled him. He muttered something in Spanish under his breath. El sin aliento, the breathless. "Caleb," I said, "what did you bring me into?" He finally confessed. They'd found a sealed stone door a few days before Elena vanished. Deep in the jungle, past the altar. They opened it. Of course they did. They thought it was a tomb, treasure, relics, glory. But when the door gave way, they found only darkness, and a wind that came from within. Since then, they'd been hearing things, seen shapes in the trees. And then Elena went missing, and they never closed the door. We decided to go back. It was me, Moran, and 2 of his crew, Martinez, and a wiry kid named Dominguez. We trekked for 2 hours under suffocating green, swarmed by insects, stalked by silence. We found the stone door, half covered in moss, wide open. It looked like a mouth. No light inside, only stairs descending into black. Martinez hesitated. She heard it whisper her name, he said quietly. The night before she vanished. That thing in the dark, it whispers. I gripped my flashlight and stepped in first. The air changed the moment I crossed the threshold. Not cooler, just heavier. Like it had weight. The light barely reached the walls. We descended slowly. 1 step. Another. 100 more. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber. The walls were covered in vines, not alive, but petrified. Fossilized, like they'd grown there 1,000 years ago, and died clinging to something that wasn't stone. At the center of the chamber stood a statue, 7 feet tall. Humanoid, but with no face. Just a smooth, round head, arms extended outward, palms up. And where its heart should have been, a hole. Not carved, not broken, just hollow. Moran knelt. We shouldn't be here, he whispered. They called it the listener. It doesn't speak, it absorbs. And then I heard it, a voice. Not out loud, inside me. It wasn't words, it was intention, hunger. It knew me. And someone screamed, Dominguez. We turned, and he was gone. No sign of him, not a scuffle, not a drop of blood, just gone. Martinez panicked, dropped his light, and bolted into the dark. We heard his footsteps fade, then nothing. I told Moran to stay close. We backed out fast. Whatever was in that chamber, it wasn't asleep, it wasn't bound, it was waiting. Back at camp, only 4 of us remained. Then I made a mistake. I listened to the tape. Martinez had left a recorder running in his tent. I played it. There were the usual jungle sounds, soft rustling, and then something else. Something faint. Breathing. Then a voice, scratchy like static, whispered a single word. Pierce. That night, I locked myself in the comms tent. Gun on the table. Light on. No sleep. Something out there had my name, and I was running out of time. By morning, Dr. Moran was gone. His bed was empty. Boots missing. No note. One of the researchers said he saw him walk into the jungle around 3 a.m., barefoot, expression blank. Like he wasn't inside himself anymore. I searched his tent. His journal was still there, though half the pages had been ripped out. The last entry, dated the night before, was short. I can hear it now, clearer. It doesn't need language. It is language. I must go. That was it. I checked the satellite rig. No signal. Static across every band. The emergency beacon was fried. No one had touched it, yet the wiring looked burned from the inside. The jungle was closing in, and I had a decision to make: wait for a rescue that wasn't coming, or go back into the underground to end this. I chose the latter, because that's what I do. I follow the dark to find what it's hiding. I went alone. Just me, a flashlight, my revolver, and a jerry-rigged explosive charge built from demolition supplies left in a crate outside. If I couldn't solve this, I could bury it. The path back was quiet. No birds. No wind. Even the leaves didn't move. At the altar I stopped. Something had changed. The statue's arms, once stretched outward, were now lowered, like it had shifted in the night. I ignored it. I descended the stairs again. The chamber was darker than before. My flashlight flickered, then steadied. The statue was there, waiting. Its hollow chest cavity seemed deeper now, like it had become a tunnel of its own. And then I saw Moran, or what used to be him. He was kneeling in front of the statue, unmoving, eyes wide open and unblinking. Vines had grown around his arms, anchoring him in place. His chest rose and fell, barely. Alive, but not present. Caleb? I whispered. His mouth moved, but the voice that came out wasn't his. It was mine, my own voice speaking from his throat. You shouldn't be here, James. I raised the gun. His body didn't flinch. I backed up slowly, placed the explosive at the chamber's entrance, and armed the timer for 3 minutes. The statue began to hum, low, vibrating through the floor. From its hollow chest, I saw something move. Not a creature, not quite. A shape. Tall and possibly thin, like it had been compressed into the space between thoughts. Its face was just void, no features, and it stepped forward. I ran. The hum turned into a roar behind me. I could feel it pressing against the walls, language trying to rewrite itself inside my skull. Names, voices, memories not mine. I reached the top of the stairs just as the charge blew. The earth convulsed. Dust and stone burst through the door, and the jungle screamed. I woke hours later, buried halfway in leaves, my right ear bleeding. The altar was gone, buried under tons of collapsed earth. So was the chamber. So was Caleb. I made it back to the drop zone and signaled with a flare. The extraction team arrived 2 days later. I didn't say much, just that the site had suffered a structural collapse. No survivors. Back in the city, I filed my report, burned my clothes, deleted the voice recording, but I still hear it. Some nights, just before sleep, a breath inside my head, the hollow green. Some doors should stay closed, and some languages should never be spoken.